This is Christine McDaniel, and I'd like to welcome you all to our Kelso High School Athletics webinar. We are excited to be able to get started with our athletics, and our athletic director, Jason Coburn, will be leading us through the presentation tonight. Before we get started, I would like to introduce all of our panel participants. First, we have our athletic director, Jason Coburn. If you can just give a little wave. Our superintendent, Mary Beth Tack. Head football coach, Steve Amrine. Head cheer coach, Megan Lamb. Head slow pitch and girls basketball coach, Jen Hamilton. And our head volleyball coach, Michelle Murray. And you won't be able to see our head cross country coach, Tim Wines. He's going to join us via audio today, but he is here, we assure you. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to our athletic director, Jason Coburn.
Oh, Tim is there. Hi, Tim.
Oh, hi, Tim. There's Tim.
Okay, let me share my screen here real quick, and then we'll get started. Oops. Okay. All right. Welcome, everybody. Super excited about what's coming up. I mean, it's been really a super long journey to get to where we're at right now. And so just to really kind of reflect back on where we've been and where we're headed, it's, you know, we've gone through a tremendous amount of questioning, a tremendous amount of speculation, a tremendous amount of trying to figure out how to make this work safely. And, you know, we're finally here. And, you know, I shared in one of our last Zooms, I think that, you know, it's been about 357 days since we had a competition. And we were able to have actually Kelso kids compete last week, which was, you know, really rewarding. But at the same time, it was like, we want to get everybody out and competing. So now we have that opportunity. And, you know, as we kind of went through this journey, it was easy to see, you know, we've always known kind of the importance of education-based athletics, but it really brought that back to the forefront. The idea that education-based athletics, you know, we really are here to serve a broader purpose. And, you know, our kids really need us. They need this as an outlet, and they need this as a way to connect. And so we're just super stoked to have, you know, our kids back, able to, you know, reconnect to their school, reconnect with their teammates, reconnect with our amazing coaches that are in front of you. And, you know, we're ready to get this thing going forward. So today's information is, there's going to be a lot, and I'm going to try to go slow. One of my weaknesses, I guess, is I tend to kind of talk too fast and then I'll trip over myself. So I'm going to take a deep breath and I'm going to go slow, but it's not going to be arduous. So here's what we're going to talk about today. So in this order, so we're going to look at our schedules for the year. We're going to look at, you know, just talk briefly about what transportation will look like, how we're going to deal with locker room usage. We'll talk about Spectators on our site. We'll talk about our streaming services, which we've got some awesome news around that in the last couple days, and then health and safety. And then I'll finish up with just kind of where to go to find information going forward, to stay informed on the changes that happen and what's coming down the pike. So some of you may know, and a lot of you may not. We've decided as a Greater St. Helens League that we would go to, you know, once we didn't meet the February 1st deadline with our metrics, that we would go to a 2-season schedule. And that wasn't an easy decision. I'll talk a little more about that in a second. So what that means is fall is going to run, and we officially started on the 15th. Actually, practice started on the 1st. Athletes were able to kind of practice with their team for a few weeks before the official start was this week. and then we will run all the way till April 3rd. Our last contest is on April 3rd. And I know that is a spring break day, the first day of spring break. And that, that'll only affect a few kids. Basically our C team, JV football team will be playing on the 3rd. But we're going to run it that day and play it with everybody that can show. So, there's our lineup of fall sports that are going to be going. All of them are going to get an opportunity to compete during that window, February 15th to April 3rd. The winter and spring season will start right after spring break. So April 12th, and then it'll run through the end of the year. So that allows our winter and spring to really not shorten a ton. They get a couple extra weeks in there to really get those schedules in and really kind of have a robust experience. And so, one of the downsides to that is overlap, and I'll discuss that in a second. With swim, we have a tentative start date for our girls on March 15th. This is still in the works. We have to work closely with our league down in Clark County. They have serious facilities issues, and so we can't really move forward until their facilities issues are
Mr. Coburn, you are frozen right now.
We'll run a 6-week girls season, and then we'll try to run a 6 or 7-week boys season after that.
Mr. Coburn, could you repeat what you said? You were frozen. We missed the part about swimming.
So how far back do I need to go? Start over?
Serious facilities issues with swimming.
Yeah, so we have to wait for the Clark County schools or the Clark County area facilities to rectify their issues so that we can have meets down there. And they can't even practice in facilities right now. And so we're expecting that to be able to start on the 15th. So we're running kind of swim separate from everything else. So there will be, it won't be in line with these other 2 seasons is my point. So the winter spring combo, this was a super difficult decision that our league ADs made. And it, like everything that has happened through COVID, it's one of those things where, you're trying to, or Christine has always told me, we're just trying to make the best bad decision, the best worst decision that there is. And so this is one of those examples. So one of the reasons that one of the main reasons why this decision was made is the uncertainty around our big winter sports, which is, high risk sports such as basketball and wrestling. We really don't have any idea right now, any indication or inkling from the state or from the governor's office on what it's going to take to do those 2 sports. And so we're not sure if they're even going to go. So if they aren't able to go, then there isn't much of an overlap issue. There's a very small overlap issue. So that was kind of the main kind of source of why we made that decision. On a positive note there, the WIA approved a waiver that was submitted by the Metro League. Actually just learned about it today. And what that says is during this time, during the winter spring session, students can play 2 sports concurrently. And that's just for this season only. So what that means, there's some stipulations involved there. So they cannot play 2 winter sports at once or 2 spring sports at once. So they would have to choose a winter and a spring. So, and then there's a few other things, in terms of health and safety that we have to follow that I won't get into today. But that gives kids a little more opportunity, less need to choose between 2 things they love. So, and our coaches are I think willing to kind of adjust and modify so that we can accommodate for all kids that want to do a couple things at one time. For transporting, we will bus. Buses will go to all of our away events. We can't use vans. Vans are out. So for you golf parents, they still got, we'll have 6 kids and a coach on a full bus headed down to Cedars Golf Course or whatever. So, but we will be busing. When on away games, it's always been our policy that students ride down with the team, but they can be checked out by a parent for the ride home. And it has to be their parent. They can't say I'm riding home with, my best friend's mom, and they have to be signed out with their coach, and each coach will have a process for doing that. On each bus, you'll have 26 max. So there's times we'll work with the bus garage. If you play on a big team, we'll take 2 buses. And, like Saturday, we're actually headed down to do a jamboree with all of our football kids. We're going to take 3 on Saturday. So 26 per bus. Windows are going to be down for airflow. They won't be all the way down, but they'll be down. And so make sure kids are dressed accordingly. They might want to wear stocking hats and, have nice things or heavy clothing to put on once they're done with whatever they're doing or on their way. Our locker rooms are kind of a source of concern. So depending on whether your student is here in person or if they're at home on those days that they're not here in person. So if they're in attendance, so if for example, you have a student who comes here Mondays and Tuesdays, we're allowing them to dress in the locker room. So, we're asking that students get in and get out. So get in the locker room, make sure they have their mask on, stay spaced, dress as quickly as possible, and get to the practice area as soon as you can. If your student is not in person, then they should come dressed and ready and not head to the locker room, but go straight to their practice area and put their shoes on or whatever they need to do in there. Now there's a difference with football because we have gear. So our football has a process for running. We have about 25 kids at a time in the locker room. They go in, they get dressed, and they head out to the practice field. And then the next wave comes in. So there's a little bit of a different process with football because we have to deal with gear. But we're, managing that in ways to keep people safe. On game days, we won't have use of locker rooms. So we're asking players to come dressed and ready to go on game day, go straight to, wherever they're playing, if it's the soccer field or the gym, and just be ready to go. We'll have the bleachers on one side open for their bags and whatnot. So, but no locker rooms on game days. They won't be going in at halftime. They won't be going in afterwards. And that's really it on locker rooms. Now, for what most of you probably are even on here for is spectators. So, we have guidance from the state that says we can have a maximum of 200 total people in any one space. And that includes all players, all game workers, all coaches, all officials, maximum of 200. For that reason, that really limits what we can do spectator wise. So what we've decided to do is each uniform player is going to get 2 spectator passes, with the exception of football. And I'll talk more about football in a minute. Each uniform player we're going to get those ready, and I'm hoping to get them out. We'll have them out by Monday, but we'll give them to the player. They can give those passes to any 2 people that they want. So, you better be nice to them, right? So when you come to the game, just got to have that pass at our ticket gate. You're just going to check you off. So, for example, if I'm going to use Aaron Tack. If I'm coming to watch Aaron Tack, I tell the ticket taker I'm here to see Aaron Tack, and they'll keep track of who's here to see her. She gets 2, and that's it. Each of those passes will be level specific and sport specific. So if I go back to that example, Aaron Tack, her passes will be varsity volleyball specific passes. If you have a JV volleyball kid, it'll be JV volleyball specific passes, etc. Admission's going to be free. We're not going to charge you to come in, which is good. After each contest, we're going to clear the gym and do a quick sanitation, and then we'll let the following game come in. So, we've left plenty of space in our scheduling so that we have time to get people out, do a quick sanitation, and then get the next group in so that they don't miss any of the game after. We're obviously asking everybody to wear masks and stay socially distanced when they're in our gym. We're only going to have the north side of the gym open for spectators. So we're asking that anybody that's not involved with the teams will be on the north side of the gymnasium. So as you walk through the doors on the right. And that goes, masks and socially distance at any of our facilities. So even outdoors, we've got a mask and stay socially distanced. Going back to football, the 200 total occupancy, it really poses an issue for us because we have so many players and so many coaches. And by the time we get all those together, that we're getting close to our 200 already. So that, the big concern is, how do we dole out the rest? And we've gone round and round about that. So I'm not going to, as of right now, we're talking about no spectators for football. However, I want to assure you that we are working extremely hard. So our superintendent is working really hard to get an exemption for football, so that we can have spectators in our stadium. And we will try to operate it in the exact same fashion as every other sport, where each uniform player will get 2 spectator passes to come into those games. Another great bit of news we got this week is we're going to be able to live stream all of our games. So if you're not able to get into our contest for any reason, every contest in the main gym and every event at the stadium will be broadcast via live stream. Fortunately, this just came about today. We purchased a license so that streaming of Kelso games will be free. So all you'll have to do, and we don't have the link quite yet because we're still working on getting our cameras configured and calibrated. So stay tuned, and we'll get a link out for you where to go and how to reach those streams. Another kind of cool thing that we're gonna hopefully get going is, for football games, we're gonna stream it, and we're gonna have KLOG's Friday broadcast with Kirk Rowland and our very own Dave Carpenter, that will be able to go over our stream. So it'll add a little bit to kind of those of us who've watched Kelso football and Kelso hoops forever. It'll add a little bit to our experience on the stream. We got both cameras mounted today, and we're just now waiting for NFHS to get us going on calibration. We're really hoping that by Monday's volleyball games that this will be up and running. And I just want to assure you that if it isn't, we're going to do everything in our power to try to find a way to stream it. So if we got to get a parent to volunteer and put it on Facebook Live, then we're going to do that until we can get this really cool system up and running. Monday my guess is, if that happens, Monday would be the only time we wouldn't have a streaming event available. barring any technical difficulties, that is. So keep an eye out, because we'll continue to communicate what that looks like. So if we need to go someplace different other than NFHS, we'll communicate that either tomorrow or Monday to where you'll go to find that stream. So certainly not the least of our concerns, but towards the end of this presentation, the health and safety, and that's kind of, the reason for all of our, hard work and diligence is because we want everybody that comes on our campus to be healthy and safe. And so, in order to make the decisions that we've made, we've had to rely on levels upon levels of guidance from the state, from WIA, from other, from the Department of Health. And, we're looking at things for pool use that's different for in gym use and all this stuff. So every decision we made has been based around that guidance that's been put forth from the top down. When it comes to, really the athletic piece of this, it really is no different than anything else in our world that we're living in right now. And it's the layering of mitigation. So, you always hear the same things, and, it's mask up, stay distanced, make sure you're washing your hands and not touching your face. And those things, one of those things does not necessarily stop the spread, but when you combine those things and layer those things, it does. And so we're asking, for help from parents to really stress the importance to your kids, that when they're here, in order for us to keep this thing going, in order for us to continue to have a season, that we've got to put this as the utmost importance. Like, the only reason we're asking you to wear a mask is because it keeps you safe. The only reason that we're asking you to stay distance is it keeps you safe. The only reason we continue to ask you to hand sanitize and wash your hands is because it keeps you safe. So we're just asking for a little help, from you parents to continue that message with your students. And then, one of the most important things is keep them home if they're sick. If don't even risk it. So, Johnny wakes up with a cough, keep him home and feel it out before you really send them in. And, to add to that, I really stress that if they're around somebody who has COVID or who thinks they have COVID, keep them home until and that'll stop a lot of potential issues, because once it starts going, I'm not sure what it's going to take to get it to stop. So those are the things that we're asking you as parents to kind of help us out with. So I know, one of the frustrating things, and I get it from a parent standpoint, is, it's been hard to figure out what's going on and when it's going on. And, we've done our best to communicate through our normal channels, but, it hasn't been perfect. And I understand that. So as we go forward, just keep on checking the Kelso High School live feed for information. That's where I'm posting most of our announcements. So keep checking back. And when we go, we think about what we're working on for streaming and for, attendance at football games. Keep checking that live feed, because that's where we'll announce that stuff. Big issues, Skyward emails will be sent out. So just, take time. If you see an email come from Skyward, read through it, and that can help give you some information. You can contact our athletic office always. All right. So our athletic secretary, there's her phone number, and then my direct line right there. Use it sparingly, please. But feel free to call me if you have any questions about anything, and we'll guide you in the right direction. Or you can email too. Another way is to just with the coach. Coaches have a lot of different avenues for communicating with their teams. I know a lot of them have Remind, a lot of them do group text, some of them have Facebook pages, some of them have Twitter, etc. So, email your coach, contact your coach if you have questions or concerns. here is another thing that's in the works. It's live, but it's not even close to being ready to go, but I'm going to show you. So we have a new athletics web page, and you can go get to it by going to gohighlanders.com. And this will be attached to our school page as well. The link will send you there. Right now, the link sends you to our old page, but it will send you this page here pretty soon. So this is what our new homepage looks like for athletics. Every school pretty much in the state will have a similar look and feel. We're all using the same website, but I can go up here and I can look
Hey,
at
Jason,
Jason,
Yes.
can you share the new screen?
I don't think it switched over.
my new share. Got it. Thank you for telling me. How about now? Okay. So this is what it'll look like now that you can see it. And it'll be a similar look to all of our every team that we play against around the state. So you can go, to these menus and find your team. And right now, a lot of these schedules are not up and running, but most varsity schedules are. So for example, if I go to girls soccer and go to schedule, it'll have, for some reason, there's a couple weird games on here, but it's got all of us going forward. So it'll show you those games. Eventually, when we get our streaming service, you'll be able to go to this site and click over here, and it'll take you right to our streaming from this page. And then also eventually we'd like to have we're going to switch a little bit over to online ticketing. So if you're a person that would like to buy tickets online rather than wait in line at the gate, then there'll be a space here for that as well. So this is one place to go. Right now, though, none of the lower level sports have schedules on there. And, like cross country, for some reason, their schedule hasn't transferred over. Golf hasn't transferred over, but we're working with the company to figure out why that is right now. So be patient with this site until we can figure out how to get it running the way it's intended. And once we figure that out, it's going to be there's some powerful tools on here that will be really helpful for parents and for fans. Up until that point, so one of my main goals for tomorrow is to find a place to post all of our fall schedules. So I'll figure out how to get that posted so you guys have access, so our community has access to those schedules. And I'll once I get that figured out, I'll put that out on the live feed where you can find those. So that is the end of the information that I have to share.
Mr. Coburn, there's a couple questions that if you could answer. The first one is, do the opponents get to have spectators as well?
Okay, yeah, that's a good question. I meant to bring that up in my, so yes, except for football. So every other sport you'll be able to attend, but football. So as I said, we're working on getting football fans here, but none of the Vancouver schools right now are allowing fans, and they're definitely not allowing in football. They're definitely not allowing away fans. So, but your volleyball, your soccers, they're allowing away fans in those contests.
Okay. Another question, is there a place the cross country schedule is listed before it goes up on the Highlander page?
That's what I'm going to try to work on tomorrow. The short answer is no. Tim might be able to answer that, but I don't know. Tim, do you have it on athletic.net or no? Tim, you there?
Yes, it's on athletic.net.
Okay, so athletic.net is a place you can find it for now. And then tomorrow, like I said, I'm going to try to post it, and it'll have every fall sport on that schedule that I post tomorrow.
Okay, we have a couple more here, Mr. Coburn. There's a question about live cameras at Reister for varsity baseball.
I think Reister has the capability to stream baseball, but I'm not 100% sure. Reister is not a Kelso school district property, so we haven't put anything over there for our sport. If you wanted to contact either Travis Kill or Ron Huntington, I think they have something set up that they will be able to stream games.
Okay, and will the away games be streamed as well for football?
Yes, and that's another thing that you'll have to watch the live feed for. A lot of the schools that we play are NFHS schools, and so we'll be able to just tap into their feed. And then there's other schools that are going to do something different. So you may have to, go to a different link or find it in a different way, and we'll try to post that on our live feed so that you can find those. So I know for example, like Battleground Prairie, they don't have the NFHS system, but they're definitely gonna stream it somewhere.
Okay.
So we'll have to get that information as we get it.
And then this question might be for Mrs. Lamb or you, Mr. Coburn. Will cheerleaders be taking the buses to away games?
The answer is no. We're not going to send cheerleaders on the road, and that's every school in our league has decided to not send cheerleaders.
Mm-hmm. And then we have one last question in here about cobwebbing the football games. Will we?
I'm gonna let Mary Beth answer that one.
So if this is in response to if you're by the fence or outside the gate and watching, our commitment would be, our job is to support the 200 within the football stadium and the gate. They probably wouldn't have issues if you were 6 feet apart and wearing a mask. You probably wouldn't be approached, but if you aren't wearing a mask and you are not social distancing, that would become an issue.
Thank you. And then our last question that we have right now, Mr. Coburn, is will there be a postseason?
That's a tough question to answer. In a traditional sense, no, there won't be a postseason in a traditional sense. So we will not be participating in any WIAA culminating event. However, for soccer, for slow pitch, for volleyball, for cross, well, I guess I could say pretty much everything but football, they're going to do some form of a league playoff after we run through all of our leagues. So, with football, our goal was to get as many games as possible for our kids at this time. And, we know that football is a different animal in terms of, of contact and, the safety of our students. And so just getting as many games as we could and not worrying about, having a postseason or a state tournament was our goal there. With the other ones, it runs pretty easily because we can do multiple games a week, and we can have a kind of a modified, district type postseason.
And that's it for the questions right now.
So as I said before, if you have questions, feel free to call our office. We'll do our best to guide you in the right direction. Obviously start with your coach, and then, whatever you need, we'll try to accommodate for you. And so just want to reiterate that we're super excited about what's coming forward. Today was a pretty exciting day with some really, really awesome and exciting news about streaming and just, we're getting closer to where all of our kids are going to be able to kind of compete and go. So thanks for coming. Appreciate your time. And we'll see you at a game sometime.